Control your mind, control everything. Most people believe the world controls them. Their emotions, their past, their circumstances, their fears. They wake up already defeated because their mind is running in all directions. Thoughts jump from yesterday to tomorrow, from regret to anxiety. This is where your power is leaking. The mind is a tool. If you do not hold it, it will pull you. If you do not train it, it will distract you. A restless mind creates a restless life. A disciplined mind creates freedom. You think strength is physical. Real strength is inner stillness. When you can sit in silence and not be shaken by noise, opinions, or pressure, you become unmovable. Pain will come. Fear will come. But you decide whether they control you or pass through you. Control begins with awareness. Watch your thoughts. Do not fight them. Observe them. The moment you observe, you are no longer the thought. You are the one in control. Breathe. Slow down. Bring your attention back to the present moment. This is where power lives. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your weakest enemy, and this truth decides the direction of your entire life. Every victory you experience and every defeat you suffer begins in the mind. Before the body moves, before words are spoken, before actions are taken, the mind has already chosen the outcome. Most people never realize this. They wake up each day reacting to thoughts. They did not choose emotions they did not question, and impulses they did not control. Slowly their own mind turns against them. The same mind that can build discipline, focus, and inner strength can also create fear, doubt, and hesitation. The difference is not talent, luck, or intelligence. The difference is control. When the mind is untrained, it becomes noisy, restless, and weak. It jumps from one desire to another, one worry to the next. It seeks comfort, avoids effort, and escapes responsibility. In this state, the mind becomes an enemy, whispering excuses when discipline is needed, fear when courage is required, and doubt when action is necessary. But when the mind is trained, it becomes silent, sharp, and obedient. It works for you, not against you. It supports your goals instead of sabotaging them. A trained mind does not panic under pressure. It does not collapse in chaos. It stays present, calm, and decisive. This is what turns the mind into a weapon. Not aggression, not anger, but clarity and control. Every challenge in life tests your mental state. Pain tests it. Failure tests it. Loneliness tests it. Success also tests it. Without control, success leads to arrogance and loss of focus. Without control, failure leads to self-pity and surrender. The mind left unchecked will always choose the easiest path, even if that path destroys you slowly. Comfort feels safe, but it weakens the mind. Resistance feels uncomfortable, but it strengthens it. You do not need to fight the mind. Fighting creates tension. You need to observe it. Watch how thoughts arise without permission. Watch how emotions shift without reason. The moment you observe, you create distance. In that distance lies power. You realize you are not the thought, you are the one watching it. This awareness is the beginning of control. Control does not mean suppression. Suppression creates pressure, and pressure eventually explodes. Control means direction. You choose where attention goes. You choose what deserves energy. You choose whether a thought is useful or destructive. Not every thought deserves belief. Not every emotion deserves action. Discipline is how you teach the mind obedience. Simple practices, repeated daily, reshape it. Waking up on time when the mind wants to sleep. Training the body when the mind wants comfort. Staying silent when the ego wants to react. Each small act sends a message. You are not in charge, I am. Over time, the mind learns to follow. A weak mind looks for motivation. A strong mind relies on structure. Motivation depends on mood. Structure depends on commitment. When the mind understands routine, it stops negotiating. It stops questioning every action. It simply executes. This is when progress becomes inevitable. Fear lives in the future. Regret lives in the past. A controlled mind stays in the present. In the present, there is no fear, no regret, only action. This is why presence is power. When you are fully here, distractions lose their grip. Opinions lose their weight. Pressure loses its control. The world will always try to enter your mind through noise, comparison, negativity, and chaos. If you do not guard it, the world will shape it for you. And the world does not care about your growth. Guarding the mind is an act of self-respect. Choosing silence, choosing focus, choosing restraint are not weaknesses. They are signs of mastery. When the mind is your enemy, life feels like a constant battle. When the mind becomes your weapon, life becomes a path you walk with purpose. Control the mind and everything else aligns. Awareness is the first step to reclaiming inner control, because without awareness you are living on autopilot. Most people believe they are in control of their lives, yet they are driven by habits, emotions, and thoughts they have never examined. They react before they think. They speak before they understand. They move through each day repeating the same patterns, and then wonder why nothing changes. A mind that is not aware is not free. It is programmed. The moment awareness begins, control becomes possible. Awareness means you notice what is happening inside you instead of being dragged by it. You notice the tension in your body when anger rises. You notice the shallow breath when fear appears. You notice the inner voice that doubts you before you even try. This noticing is not judgment. It is observation. Judgment clouds clarity. Observation sharpens it. Most people try to change themselves by forcing positivity or suppressing negativity. This never lasts. Suppressed thoughts grow stronger in the dark. Awareness brings them into the light. When you see a thought clearly, it loses its power over you. A thought only controls you when you believe it without question. Awareness gives you the pause. In that pause you gain choice. Your emotions are signals, not commands. Without awareness, emotions take control and dictate behavior. Anger speaks and you react. Fear whispers and you retreat. Desire calls and you chase. With awareness, emotions still arise, but they no longer drive. You feel them fully without becoming them. You allow them to pass without acting blindly. This is emotional discipline, and it begins with awareness. Awareness also reveals your habits. Habits shape your life more than motivation ever will. The way you start your day, the way you respond to pressure, the way you speak to yourself when no one is listening. These patterns run deep. You cannot change what you do not see. Awareness exposes these patterns so they can be reshaped. Stillness is where awareness grows. When the mind is constantly distracted, there is no space to observe. Silence feels uncomfortable because it removes escape. In silence, the mind reveals itself. Restlessness, impatience, insecurity all rise to the surface. This is not a problem. This is information. What you avoid is often what controls you. Breath is your anchor. When awareness is lost, return to the breath. Not to escape, but to center. A steady breath calms the nervous system. A calm system allows clear perception. From clarity comes control. This is why control always starts from within, not from the outside world. Awareness is also humility. It requires you to admit that you are not as controlled as you thought, that your reactions are predictable, that your weaknesses repeat. This honesty is strength. Without it, growth is impossible. Ego resists awareness because awareness exposes illusion. But only illusion needs protection. When awareness becomes part of daily life, you stop blaming external conditions. You see your role in every situation. You see how your thoughts shape your experience. Responsibility replaces victimhood. Power replaces excuses. This shift changes everything. A controlled mind does not come from force. It comes from understanding. Awareness is understanding in action. Each time you observe, instead of react, you reclaim a piece of your power. Each time you pause, instead of panic, you strengthen inner authority. You do not need to control the world. You only need to see yourself clearly. Awareness is the door. Walk through it and control follows. A calm mind creates clarity, power, and direction, because chaos inside always leads to confusion outside. When the mind is noisy, every situation feels heavier than it is. Small problems feel overwhelming. Simple decisions become exhausting. You lose energy not because life is difficult, but because your mind is unsettled. Calmness is not weakness. Calmness is strength under control. Most people mistake calm for laziness or lack of ambition. In truth, calm is the foundation of precision. A calm mind sees what others miss. It listens instead of reacting. It chooses instead of rushing. When pressure rises, an untrained mind panics and makes careless decisions. A calm mind slows down and finds the correct path. Clarity is born in stillness. When thoughts stop racing, you begin to see reality as it is, not as you fear it to be. You stop imagining worst-case scenarios. You stop creating unnecessary suffering. You see the next step clearly. Not the entire journey, just the next step. This is enough. Power does not come from force. It comes from stability. When your mind is calm, you are not easily influenced. Opinions lose their grip. Criticism loses its sting. Praise does not inflate you. You remain centered. This inner stability makes you reliable not only to others but to yourself. You trust your decisions because they are not made from emotion. Direction comes when distractions disappear. A noisy mind wants everything and commits to nothing. A calm mind knows what matters. It prioritizes. It focuses. It moves forward with intention. Direction is not about speed. It is about alignment. Moving fast in the wrong direction only takes you further away. Calmness is trained, not inherited. It is built through daily discipline, through controlled breathing, through mindful movement, through learning to sit with discomfort without escaping. The mind resists calm because calm removes excuses. In calm, there is no chaos to hide behind, only responsibility. When the body is tense, the mind cannot be calm. They are connected. Slow down your breath and the mind follows. Soften the body and the thoughts soften. This is why physical discipline supports mental control. A steady body supports a steady mind. In moments of conflict, calmness is your advantage. While others raise their voices, you lower yours. While others rush, you pause. This does not mean you avoid confrontation. It means you choose the right moment and the right words. Calmness gives authority without aggression. Fear cannot survive in a calm mind. Fear feeds on imagination and speed. Calm slows everything down. You see fear for what it is, a signal, not a threat. When the mind is calm, courage becomes natural. Direction also means knowing when not to act. Not every opportunity deserves attention. Not every battle deserves energy. A calm mind recognizes this. It conserves strength. It waits when waiting is wise and moves when action is necessary. In a world addicted to noise, calmness is rare. That rarity makes it powerful. Those who master calmness become leaders without trying. People feel safe around them. Trust forms naturally. Calm your mind and clarity will appear. With clarity, power grows. With power, direction becomes undeniable. Discipline over comfort builds unshakable strength, because comfort weakens the mind while discipline trains it. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it steals your future quietly. It asks for nothing and gives nothing in return. Discipline demands effort, but it gives back everything. Strength, confidence, clarity, and self-respect are born from choosing discipline when comfort is available. The mind naturally seeks ease. It wants shortcuts, rest, pleasure, and avoidance. This is survival instinct, not mastery. When you follow this instinct without awareness, you become soft, not physically but mentally. You hesitate under pressure. You quit when resistance appears. You depend on motivation instead of commitment. Comfort makes the mind fragile. Discipline is the language of control. Each disciplined action tells the mind who leads. Waking up early when the body wants sleep. Training when excuses appear. Remaining silent when ego wants reaction. These moments shape character. No one sees them, but they decide everything. Strength is not created in moments of comfort. Strength is created when you choose what is difficult on purpose. Resistance sharpens the mind. It teaches patience, endurance, and focus. Without resistance, the mind never learns to stay present. It always escapes. Discipline is misunderstood as punishment. In truth, discipline is care. You discipline what you value. You discipline your body because you want health. You discipline your mind because you want freedom. Neglect is easy. Care requires effort. The disciplined mind does not argue with itself every day. It follows structure. Structure removes decision fatigue. When you know what must be done, there is no inner debate. You act. Over time, action becomes identity. You no longer try to be disciplined. You are disciplined. Comfort delays growth. Discipline accelerates it. Comfort tells you wait, tomorrow is better. Discipline tells you start now, even imperfectly. Waiting feels safe, but it creates stagnation. Action creates momentum. Strength built through discipline is unshakable because it does not depend on mood. Motivation changes. Emotions shift. Circumstances vary. Discipline remains. It is steady. It shows up regardless of conditions. Discipline also builds trust with yourself. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, confidence grows. Each time you break it, doubt forms. Self-trust is power. Without it, you hesitate. With it, you move forward without fear. Comfort seeks approval. Discipline seeks alignment. When you are disciplined, you stop chasing validation. You are too focused on your path. This focus protects your energy. Energy wasted on distraction is strength lost. Discipline creates calm. When the mind knows it can handle discomfort, fear reduces. You no longer panic when things get hard, because you have trained for difficulty. Hardship becomes familiar, not threatening. In the long run, comfort creates regret. Discipline creates pride. Regret is heavy. Pride is light. One pulls you down, the other lifts you forward. Choose discipline daily, and strength will follow naturally. Thoughts shape actions, and actions shape destiny. This is not philosophy. This is structure. Nothing in your life appears randomly. Every result you experience is the outcome of repeated internal patterns expressed through behavior over time. What you think consistently becomes what you do automatically. What you do repeatedly becomes who you are. Most people underestimate the power of a single thought because they only see results, not origins. A thought feels harmless, invisible, temporary. But thoughts are instructions to the nervous system. They influence posture, breath, tone, and decision-making. A thought of doubt slows you down. A thought of confidence sharpens you. The body listens to the mind even when you are not aware of it. Thoughts do not need to be loud to be powerful. The quiet ones repeated daily shape identity. The way you speak to yourself when you fail. The story you tell yourself about your limits. The expectations you carry without questioning. These become rules the mind follows. Once a rule is accepted, actions align with it. Action is thought made visible. You do not act against your strongest belief. You act according to it. If you believe effort is pointless, you will hesitate. If you believe growth requires struggle, you will persist. This is why willpower alone fails. If the thought pattern remains unchanged, action cannot be sustained. Destiny is not a single event. It is a direction. Each action is a step. Each step moves you closer or further away from your potential. Small actions repeated over time create massive outcomes. What feels insignificant today becomes decisive tomorrow. Most people try to change destiny by chasing outcomes. They focus on success, recognition, or external reward. This creates pressure and frustration. Control begins at the root, thought. When the inner narrative changes, behavior follows naturally. You cannot control every thought, but you can choose which ones you feed. Attention is energy. Where attention goes, repetition follows. What repeats becomes habit. Habit shapes character. Character defines destiny. This is why awareness matters. When you catch a destructive thought, early you stop a destructive action before it forms. When you allow clarity, a disciplined response emerges. You do not need to force positivity. You need accuracy. Is this thought useful? Does it serve the direction I choose? Actions guided by clarity are efficient. They do not waste energy on hesitation. They do not seek approval. They are aligned. Alignment creates momentum. Momentum removes doubt. When actions are aligned with purpose, resistance becomes training, not obstacle. Failure becomes feedback, not identity. Success becomes responsibility, not ego. This stability allows consistency. Consistency is what destiny responds to, not intensity, not talent, not motivation. Consistency turns effort into mastery. Mastery changes life trajectory. Your destiny is shaped quietly daily. In what you choose to think when no one is watching. In what you choose to do when it would be easier not to. These moments build direction. Change the thought and the action will follow. Change the action and destiny will shift. Emotional control is true mastery of self because emotions are powerful forces. They can guide you or they can govern you. When emotions rule the mind, clarity disappears. Decisions become reactions. Life becomes unstable. The strongest person in the room is not the loudest or the most aggressive. It is the one who remains composed while others lose control. Emotions are natural. They arise from experience, memory, and perception. The problem is not feeling. The problem is identification. When you identify with an emotion, you become it. Anger becomes your voice. Fear becomes your decision maker. Desire becomes your direction. In this state, you are no longer leading yourself. You are being led. Most conflicts are emotional, not logical. Most regrets are emotional, not intentional. People say things they do not mean, do things they later regret, and damage relationships, not because they are bad, but because they are untrained. Emotional reactions feel justified in the moment, but they often create long-term consequences. Control does not mean suppression. Suppressed emotions remain stored in the body. They surface later as stress, tension, or exhaustion. Control means awareness and regulation. You allow the emotion to be present without allowing it to act through you. You feel anger without speaking from it. You feel fear without running from it. This is strength. Breath is the bridge between emotion and control. When emotions rise, the breath becomes shallow and fast. Slow the breath and the emotional wave weakens. This creates space. In that space, you regain choice. Choice is power. Emotional control also requires patience. Emotions are temporary. They rise, peak, and fall. If you react at the peak, you lose control. If you wait, you regain it. Time is an ally to the disciplined mind. Many people confuse emotional expression with honesty. True honesty includes responsibility. Expressing every emotion without restraint is not authenticity. It is impulsiveness. Authentic strength is choosing the right time, the right words, and the right response. Emotional discipline protects energy. Reacting drains you. Regulating preserves you. When you stop wasting energy on unnecessary reactions, you gain focus. Focus builds momentum. Those who master emotional control are difficult to manipulate. They do not react to provocation. They do not chase validation. They do not collapse under criticism. Their center is internal. This independence is freedom. Leadership begins with self-leadership. No one trusts someone who cannot control themselves. Emotional steadiness builds trust. People feel safe around calm presence. Calm presence influences without force. When you control emotions, you control outcomes. Arguments dissolve. Decisions improve. Relationships strengthen. Progress becomes steady. Emotions are messengers, not masters. Listen to them, but do not obey blindly. Mastery begins when emotion no longer controls direction. Control the emotion and the self becomes unbreakable. When the mind is trained, nothing outside can break you, because strength that comes from within cannot be taken by external forces. Most people believe they are strong until life applies pressure. Pressure reveals what training hides. An untrained mind collapses under stress. A trained mind adapts and remains steady. The world is unpredictable. People change, circumstances shift, plans fail, and challenges appear without warning. If your stability depends on external order, you will always feel threatened. A trained mind does not rely on conditions. It removes collapse. You experience fully, but you do not break. You bend, adjust, and continue. The trained mind does not seek certainty. It creates readiness. Certainty is fragile. Readiness is adaptable. When you are ready, you do not fear change. You welcome it as a test of your stability. Discipline supports training. Awareness directs it. Calm sustains it. Emotional control protects it. These elements combine to create inner armor, not hardness but resilience. External chaos loses influence when inner order is strong. Noise becomes background. Opinions become irrelevant. You choose what enters your mind. This choice defines freedom. Many people seek protection through control of environment. They try to eliminate risk, discomfort, and challenge. This creates fragility. When the environment changes, they fall apart. The trained mind seeks strength through exposure and discipline. This creates adaptability. Training the mind requires consistency, not intensity. Small practices done daily create strength over time. Presence in action, restraint in speech, focus in effort. Each moment contributes. When the mind is trained, fear loses authority. Fear becomes information, not limitation. Confidence emerges naturally, not from affirmation, but from evidence. Evidence built through discipline. The trained mind respects struggle. It does not rush growth. It understands that stability is earned. Patience becomes natural. In the end, nothing outside can shake someone who is grounded inside. When the mind is trained, life may challenge you, but it will not defeat you. Control your mind, and you control the direction of your life. Everything you have heard is not meant to impress you, but to remind you of the power you already carry within. Strength is not found in noise, speed, or force. It is found in awareness, discipline, calmness, and emotional control practiced daily. Train the mind and the world loses its grip on you. Walk forward with clarity, patience, and courage. May you stay focused, steady, and unstoppable on your path. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for listening.